Hello everybody, welcome to the SCM Global Pub Quiz 2021. 1 year ago we had our first edition and now we are in the second one. A year ago we were all stuck in a lockdown and now we're still used of being remote. So again we are organizing a global pub quiz and it will be an exciting one. We have learned, we have made it more challenging. So thank you for joining us, and we have a great bunch of teams playing to win. As you can see, we have all kinds of companies, from manufacturing companies, software vendors, and also startups, consultancy firms. So you are in a great surrounding of teams, claiming to win this global pub quiz. So I will explain first how we'll proceed. So how to play. There are one team captain in each team, and you'll find a link to SurveyMonkey where you can fill out the right answer. You find the link in the chat. On the right hand side, in AirMeet, you find the link in the chat. So be sure that you will open up SurveyMonkey. And we have learned from last year, you can't fool around because we only have the options of A, B, C, D, so you can't already cheat in that sense. Per team, you have only one answer sheet, and I will read the questions. There will be 25 in the next hour, and after each question you have 30 seconds to discuss with your team members about the right answer, and then I move on. So I will repeat the question, so I'll say them out loud 2 times, and you have 30 seconds to click the right answer, and you have to do it as a team captain in SurveyMonkey. So you have to tick one box. How to win? Each question, there will be 25. Each right answer will give you 1 point. And in the end, well, the one with the most points will be the winner. And we also have a nice algorithm which counts the number of seconds people are using. So if there is a real tie, we can use it in. But no, just kidding. We have 25 questions. This the one with the highest number of right answers will win. And if there's a tie, there will be a shootout at the end. So it's all clear. I hope that all the team captains have found the link to SurveyMonkey in the chat. So be sure about that. And I'm going to start with the first categories. We have 5 categories, and the first one is about leadership. So to introduce this category, you see here Napoleon standing on the hill. And a lot of companies among you want to grow. Hopefully all companies want to grow. And they see new markets, and you see the city on the other side. And you see all kinds of departments moving to the city to conquer the city, to new market. And you see sales want to get into the market. And you see supply chain, they want to support this venture. But there's a river, so you have some obstacles to cross. And supply chain should make it work that sales could enter the city. And of course you have marketing, bombarding the city with promotions, and as a new element of the strategy you have the cavalry, direct to consumer, also want to connect to the consumer directly. And it's all about leadership, so the supply chain officer or director is standing on the hill directing all this troop to the battlefield. All right, now we get to the 5 next questions, all about strategy. And the first question is this. So MIT Sloan Management Review has done a study on business performance in the digital age in 2020. So the question is, which percentage of the more than 4,000 global executives from over 120 countries strongly agrees their own leaders have the right mindset to lead them forward? So which percentage believe that their own leaders have the right mindset to lead them forward? A, 12%, B, 80%, C, 32%, D, 34%. So which percentage of the respondents agree that their own leaders have the right mindset to lead them forward? 12%, 80%, 32%, or 34%? All right, moving on. So leadership, you saw the picture of Napoleon. Napoleon was the first real supply chain leader, and he became a CEO, he became the Emperor of France. And he also introduced the business function of logistic manager. Question, how many soldiers did he lead in the Russian campaign in 1812? So how many soldiers did Napoleon lead in the Russian campaign in 1812? A, 100,000, B, 200,000 men, C, 300,000 men, D, 600,000 men. So how many soldiers did Napoleon lead in the Russian campaign in 1812? Should be very easy. You have time to discuss, no time to Google. We'll track it down. All right, let's go to the next question. All about leadership again. Which chief supply chain officer ranked in the top 10 of the top 28 supply chain executives Europe 2021 is also appointed chief sustainability officer? Again, so we did a ranking of the top 28 supply chain executives Europe in 2021. We've published it a few weeks ago. So which supply chain officer ranked in the top 10 is also appointed chief sustainability officer? Dual role. A, Silke Mauer of BHH Hausgeräte. B, Ewan Andrew of Diageo. C, Sami Nafak of Reckitt. D, Ivanka Janssen of Philips. So which supply chain officer has also the function of chief sustainability officer in this company? A, Silke Mauer. B, Ewan Andrew. C, Sami Nafak. D, Ivanka Janssen of Philips. So it is quite extraordinary that a chief supply chain officer is also appointed chief sustainability officer. Maybe in the future it will be a normal dual role. All right. Please discuss and click in the SurveyMonkey the right answer, A, B, C, or D. All right, next, fourth question about leadership. So several supply chain professors have developed business models for leaders, especially in supply chain. Which supply chain professor has introduced the risk exposure index? A, Professor Hao Li. B, Professor David Simson-Levy. C, Professor Carlos Cardon. D, Professor Yossi Sheffi. So which supply chain professor has developed the risk exposure index? A, Professor Hao Li. B, Professor David Simson-Levy. C, Professor Carlos Cardon. D, Professor Yossi Sheffi. Well, it's important to follow what these kind of supply chain professors, all of these four, are developing for supply chain purposes and also for the whole business. All right, I hope you have great discussions and you know what to answer. Fifth question, gender diversity. Gender diversity is an important topic for supply chain leaders. According to research by Gartner, women make up to 39% of the total workforce in supply chain in 2020. What percentage of the top level executives is female? A, 8%, B, 15%, C, 17%, D, 21%. So which percentage of the top level executives in the business is female? A, 8%, B, 15%, C, 17%, D, 21%. And these were the numbers of 2020, of last year. So what percentage of the top level executives is female in supply chain? All right. All right, this was the first section about leadership, and the next section will go about innovation. Also a very important topic, especially we're moving into a next digital age. So innovation is key for a lot of companies. And as you can see, a lot of companies are, trying out startups, or some of you are a startup or scale-up, and a lot of bigger companies have to apply a startup mentality using Scrum methodology and using sprints. So innovation in the next decades is paramount. So we have some questions about it, and it's also paramount that innovation is key in the supply chain. So we have 5 questions now about innovation. All right, first question about innovation. Which European startup has done a successful blockchain pilot project with BASF, Motherson and Porsche? A. Cargo Ledger. B. Circular Tree. C. Cargo X. D. MindSpider. And you should all know it because we did a webinar with all these blockchain startups earlier this year. And if you have attended this important webinar, you know which startup is doing what in which kind of industry. So the question is, which European startup has done a successful blockchain pilot project with BASF, Motherson and Porsche, tracking down parts all the way from raw material into a car? A. Cargo Ledger. B. Circular Tree. C. Cargo X. And D. MindSpider. Hopefully you know a lot of startups, or you even tried one out, or you're partnering with them. So hopefully you know these startups, or you should know these startups. All right, second question about innovation. Which tool has supply chain media developed for the selection of the right type of innovation fitting your business strategy? A. The Trend Compass. B. The SCM IT Subway Map. C. The Supply Chain Startup Maturity Matrix. D. The Strategy Compass. So which tool has supply chain media developed for the selection of the right type of innovation fitting your business strategy? A. The Trend Compass. B. The SCM IT Subway Map. C. The Supply Chain Startup Maturity Matrix. Or D. The Strategy Compass. And if you have read Supply Chain Movement a lot of the times, you probably will know it. If not, you should look it up. All 4 types are very important also, but one is dedicated to innovation connected to the business strategy. All right, moving on to the next question of innovation. Innovation. Cultural diversity is crucial for innovation. The more diverse a team, the better the innovation. Which city is the most culturally diverse in the world? A. New York. B. San Francisco. C. London. D. Amsterdam. So which city is the most culturally diverse in the world? A. New York. B. San Francisco. C. London. D. Amsterdam. And this diversity is one of the reasons a lot of companies are moving into this city. So A. New York. B. San Francisco. C. London. D. Amsterdam. All right, going on to the next question, question number 9, also about innovation. So we have seen a lot of innovations in the last couple of years, and also related to supply chain. And we're also tracking down, okay, when were these innovations being launched in the world? So the question is, in which year did the British retailer Tesco introduce the virtual store in a metro station in Seoul, South Korea? 2012? 2014, 2015, 2017. So in which year did the British retailer Tesco introduce the virtual store in a metro station in Seoul, South Korea? A. 2012, B. 2014, C. 2015, D. 2017. So you've probably seen the video, people in the subway station with their mobile phone on a wall ordering their groceries. In which year was this introduced? All right, enough time to discuss this topic, or this question. Going on to the final question of this block about innovation. So 3D printing will be massive, not in all industries, but in certain industries, especially in the spare parts industries, it will be big. Maybe it's already getting big. But one of the leaders in 3D printing is HP. And you have read about it, also probably in our magazines about it. But the question is, how many parts does HP 3D print needed to build their own 3D printers? So they used 3D printer to build their own 3D printers. So how many parts does HP 3D print needed to build their own 3D printers? A. Approximately 20 plastic parts. B. Approximately 50 plastic parts. C. Approximately 100 plastic parts. Or D. More than 200 plastic parts. So how many parts does HP 3D print needed to build their own 3D printers? I hope you have a lot of fruitful discussions among yourselves, among your team members for the right answer. So we are moving on now to the next session. That's the third one, and that's all about planning. All right, supply chain planning is in the heart of supply chain management. And as we have seen, especially in the last 18 months, supply chain planning has proven to be crucial in this day and age to deliver the products and services on time to your customers. And what we have seen, the more successful companies have created a convergent planning tower. As you can see on this illustration, is basically is a T-shaped tower, and on the ground floor you see the orders coming in, and they will be administered in the ERP system. And then in the next level, on the second level, it goes into the level of sales and operation execution. So the orders, the sales orders will be translated into manufacturing orders, production orders, transport orders, warehouse orders, and so forth. And then on the third layer, you have your S&OP layer, your sales and operations planning. There you will have the matching of demand and supply, and you'll talk about capacity and volumes. And then moving on to the fourth level, you have your long-term horizon planning, and then you translate your planning into euros and dollars. And on top level, you have your end-to-end planning. So you get the demand signals from the markets, and you combine them with your supply analysis, and then you get your end-to-end planning. So basically, we see now companies who are successful have built this kind of planning tower. Very important, and I have now 5 questions about supply chain planning. All right, one of my favorite analysts in the world is Laura Cicera from Supply Chain Insights. And she has stated there are 4 key performance indicators that have the greatest impact on the value creation according to Laura Cicera. So which 4 key performance should you track and manage? A, growth, margin, turnover rate, and return on invested capital. B, growth, cost, turnover rate, and return on invested capital. C, growth, margin, working capital, and return on invested capital. Or D, growth, EBIT, turnover rate, and return on invested capital. So as supply chain practitioners, you should mark this down quite easily, you know, within a second. So I shouldn't repeat it, I think, but I give you some time to discuss. So what are the 4 key performance indicators in planning to have the greatest impact on value creation, according to Laura's series of Supply Chain Insight? And you can read it, you know. Okay, next question. Planning, you know, we are all be confronted with lockdowns, with COVID-19, all kind of bullwhips and ripple effects. But, you know, there's one company already dealing with it for over a decade. So which company has developed an algorithm to dampen the bullwhip effect in 2008? So after the financial crisis in 2008, they developed an algorithm to dampen the bullwhip effect. The company is at A, DSM, B, ExxonMobil, C, Philips, or D, Unilever. So which company has developed an algorithm to dampen the bullwhip effect in 2008? And as you can imagine, with all the bullwhips happening right now, this algorithm is very useful. And maybe more companies should apply this algorithm. So is it company A, DSM, B, ExxonMobil, C, Philips, or D, Unilever? All right, going over to question number 13. We're in the middle of the whole pub quiz. So, John Gatorna is an author of many supply chain books, great ones, talking about consumer behavior and that kind of stuff, and how to relate it to your business strategy and supply chain. So the question is, on how many different archetypes can customers be classified according to author John Gatorna for the definition of the right supply chain setup? So looking at the market, how many customer archetypes do you recognize to define the right supply chain setup? A, 4 archetypes, B, 8 archetypes, C, 12 archetypes, or D, 16 archetypes. So how many different archetypes can customers be classified in according to author John Gatorna for the definition of the right supply chain setup? So A, 4 archetypes, B, 8 archetypes, C, 12 archetypes, or D, 16 archetypes. As you can understand, you know, defining your archetypes of customer behavior is crucial to get the right setup for your supply chain. And your segmentation is also relating to that. Getting on to the next question, question 14. All around the world, you see, you know, vaccination is going on, massive projects, and you see already very successful project in that sense. And lockdown have seen a lot of examples of great implementation in a very quick time. And another thing, in military history, there are also examples of a great projects, supply chain projects or logistical project being planned. So the question is this: D-Day is the biggest military operation in history. How many tons of supplies have been unloaded on the Normandy beaches by the end of June 1944? A, 89,000 tons, B, 289,000 tons, C, 489,000 tons, D, 889,000 tons. So now in IBP you have to all rate it in euros or dollars, and in SNOP it's more in volume and pallets, but you also should know about tons. So how many tons of supplies have been unloaded by the Allied forces on the Normandy beaches by the end of June 1944 in the Second World War? Was it A, 89,000 tons, B, 289,000 tons, C, 489,000 tons, or D, 889,000 tons? and a bit. All right, moving on to the final question in the section of planning, and that's more related to the new developments of supply chain planning. So you see all kinds of developments. I just discussed about sales and operations planning, and now moving into integrated business planning. And now we have some new terms in planning. So what is the term for autonomous decision making by machines under human guidance? Is it A, cognitive automation, B, machine learning, C, robotic process automation, or D, artificial intelligence? So what is the term for autonomous decision making by machines under human guidance? A, cognitive automation, B, machine learning, C, robotic process automation, or D, artificial intelligence. And a lot of you are into supply chain planning, so you should know it right away, I think. All right. There was the section about planning, and now we are moving into a very important area of sustainability. And as you can see, a lot of companies are heading to cross over this waterway to get into the green area, the green future, with a lot of green energy. And still there are some companies who ignore it and go the other way. They go into the direction of dystopia on the right-hand side. But now we're gonna check what you know about sustainability. All right, 5 questions about sustainability. So, first question about sustainability is this. Which grocery retailer in Belgium introduced the 100% CO2 neutral bananas in January 2020? And we have written about it. A, Colruyt, B, Lidl, C, Carrefour, B, Delhaize. So which grocery retailer in Belgium introduced the 100% CO2 neutral bananas in January 2020? A, Colruyt, B, Lidl, C, Carrefour, or D, Delhaize. And we all want to move our supply chains into the direction of 100% CO2 neutral, so this could be a great example to watch out for. All right, we also have to know what is the state of sustainability nowadays. So according to the MIT and CSCMP study of 2020, which corporate sustainability goal in supply chain scored the highest? So MIT and the CSCMP did a study in 2020, and they scored which corporate sustainability goal in the supply chain scored the highest among the respondents. A, energy management, B, carbon emissions, C, fair trade and fair pay, or D, no child labor. So which corporate sustainability goal in supply chain scored the highest in the study of MIT and CSCMP of last year? A, energy management, B, carbon emissions, C, fair trade and fair pay, or D, no child labor. So as you see, sustainability is covering a wide range of all kinds of goals, and we want to reach all of them, but which one ranked the highest? All right, moving on to the next question. Okay, it's good to know, to look at great examples, and it's good to know to track down how far they are. All right, one question about Unilever. The chemicals in Unilever's cleaning and laundry products make up how much percentage of its carbon footprint in 2020? A, 28%, B, 32%, C, 46%, or D, 52%. So the chemicals in Unilever's cleaning and laundry products make up how much percentage of its carbon footprint in 2020? A, 28%, B, 32%, C, 46%, or D, 52%. And of course, it will change in the near future. Or it should change in the near future. All right, moving on to the next question. Question, which fast-growing logistics startup is offering its fossil-free parcel delivery service in more than 30 towns and cities in the Netherlands since February 2021? So a lot of startups are focusing on sustainability, functionality in platforms. So which fast-growing logistics startup is offering its fossil-free parcel delivery service in more than 30 towns and cities in the Netherlands since February 2021? A. Lucabox, B. Budbee, C. Big Mile, or D. Bird. So it's good to know what kind of functionality the startups, the bright young startups are developing. So which one is offering a fossil-free parcel delivery service in more than 30 towns in the Netherlands since February this year? A. Lucabox, B. Budbee, C. Big Mile, or D. Bird. All right, final question about sustainability. So it's good to know which companies are developing all kind of projects and are delivering sustainability projects and realizing all their ambitions and their promises. So which petro-intensive company started its Mission Zero in 1949 and has reduced the carbon footprint of its main product by 74% in 2020? So imagine, very chemical industry. So which petro-intensive company started its Mission Zero in 1949 and has reduced the carbon footprint of its main product by 74% in 2020? A. ExxonMobil, B. Interface, C. Forbo, or D. Royal Dutch Shell? So which petro-intensive company has started their sustainability project already in 1949 and has reduced the carbon footprint of its main product by 74% in 2020? A big achievement, by the way. Is it A. ExxonMobil, B. Interface, C. Forbo, or D. Royal Dutch Shell? All right, now we get to the final section, the final 5 questions for the supply chain professionals among you. And it's about talent development. So, as we all know, talent development is crucial. With an aging population and a lot of people leaving the companies in the next decade, we need more talent. And we need to onboard them, and we have to show them the way to get to the top, or even to be productive and make sure that they have their value in the company. And as we all know right now, it's very hard to attract new talents. And hopefully, the team members joining this pub quiz will have some knowledge to gain to attract more talents. All right, so we talk about this building, how to move your talents through this building to onboard them and move them over to the top. So first question, what is the most important skill for supply chain employees according to a survey by Supply Chain Insight in 2019? So what is the most important skills for supply chain employees and the talents according to a survey by Supply Chain Insight in 2019? A, being a problem solver. B, has strong analytical skills. C, has strong oral communication skills. D, is able to see the big picture. So what are the most important skills for supply chain talents according to a survey by Laura Series, Supply Chain Insight in 2019? A, being a problem solver. B, has strong analytical skills. C, has strong oral communication skills. Or D, is able to see the big picture. So do you know how to find the right talent, I would say? That's the question here. We have to focus on. Okay, moving over to the next question. Question 22. What is the most important aspect of a job for supply chain talents in Europe according to a survey by Supply Chain Insights in 2020? So what is the most important aspect of a job according to supply chain talents in Europe done by the survey of Laura Cecilia of Supply Chain Insights? What is important? A, diversity of people and ideas. B, challenging work. C, competitive salary. Or D, flexible work arrangement. So what do supply chain talents in Europe consider as the most important in their job? A, diversity of people and ideas. B, challenging work. C, competitive salary. Or D, flexible work arrangement. All right, next question. All right, next question. How did young supply chain professionals find their most recent positions in most cases according to a survey by Korn Ferry in 2021? A, word of mouth through professional network. B, directly in company's website. C, online job board. Or D, social media like LinkedIn and Facebook. So how did young supply chain professionals find their most recent positions in most cases according to a survey done by Korn Ferry in 2021? A, word of mouth through professional network. B, directly on company's website. C, online job board. Or D, social media like LinkedIn and Facebook. Another interesting question about talent development, in my opinion. What percentage of millennials said in the Deloitte Global Millennial Survey 2019 they would be physically healthier if they reduced the time spent on social media? A, 34%, B, 44%, C, 45%, or C, 64%. So what percentage of millennials said in Deloitte Global Millennial Survey 2019 they would be physically healthier if they reduce the time spent on social media? A, 34%, B, 44%, C, 45%, D, 64%. All right, moving over to the final question of the pub quiz. A very important one, but probably also the easiest one, I think. So which ingredient is not required for the inner fire of talents according to Professor Liedewij van der Sluis of Nyenrode Business University? A, opportunities, oxygen, what you call it. B, qualities, fuel. C, energy, heat source. Or D, luck, like a spark. So which ingredient is not required for the inner fire of talents according to Professor Liedewij van der Sluis of Nyenrode Business University? A, opportunities, oxygen. B, qualities, fuel. C, energy, a heat source. Or D, luck, a spark. All right, this was quite easy, I think. We wrap it up with the most easiest question, but also the most important one, I think. So next, we're going to find out who will be the winner. But first, my colleagues here, Nicole and Tiffany, will find out who will be the winner. But first, I will explain what will be your prize as a winner. So, we have done a lot of research for this Global Pub Quiz. Interestingly enough, earlier this week there was an article about learning, making learning a part of your daily routine. It was written in the Harvard Business Review, and there were some interesting findings in this article. basically what this article is saying that learning is the new job. And the CEO of LinkedIn is saying, you know, I'm looking for persons with an infinite learning curve. So he is always looking for people who want to learn every day. And the CEO of Microsoft says in this article, the learn-it-all will always be better and do better than the know-it-all. So even if you join this pub quiz, the learning-all are doing it better than the know-it-all. And this article is also telling us about, you know, you have to unlearn stuff in the new age. And you have to learn, of course, and you have to relearn. And basically the thing is, you have to find your own blind spot. You should find out what you don't know. And it's basically all about asking the right questions, propelling questions. And in the matter of relearning is even better questions. So what you can win with this SCM Pub Quiz is an innovation track. So Supply Chain Media is developing a machine learning tool called SCM Wisdom. Basically, it's a knowledge bank with all kind of articles, and you can enter this tool, and you create your own profile, and you can Google and find stuff, and then you will be inspired, and you get more and more content, and then you learn. And you might ask yourself, how did you come up with all these questions for this SCM Global Pub Quiz? So basically, quite easy. I used our own machine learning engine to find the right articles and to find intriguing questions and right answers. So basically, I used my own engine to come up with these 25 questions. So what will you win as a winner of this SCM Global Pub Quiz? So basically, we'll have an innovation track. So in week 0, you will do an MS Teams session, and you get an assignment. Your manager will give you an assignment. For example, we should test out startups. So tell me which startup we should test out and invest in. So basically, in the next 3 weeks, you will get one article each day. And basically, I will lead you from a very broad range of topics about supply chain innovation to specific startups. And after 3 weeks, you are be able to pitch a startup way better to your manager. So after this 3-week trial of this machine learning engine with all kind of articles, you will have a better understanding about your business strategy, your supply chain, the startups that can help you, and basically you with one article each day, you will have a better pitch after 3 weeks. So basically you will enter this engine, you create your own profile, and the more you are searching into this engine, the better this engine will know you, but also this engine will learn from other people in a similar role, or in a similar company, or even competing companies. So then you get these kind of articles, and these kind of articles I have been going through for the Global Pub Quiz to find the intriguing questions and answers. And then after 3 weeks, your manager can also see what your colleagues have been looking for and what kind of articles they were reading and what they are clicking on. So basically, you can see the engagement of your colleagues, but also you can see, what are the topics they're looking for, and do they find the right articles, and do they find the right answers. So the winner will get a test pilot of 3 weeks, what we call a knowledge challenge of 3 weeks, and so you can enter with, say, 10 people in this what we call a Netflix of supply chain articles, and to make use of it and to make it practical, you will have a pilot track of 3 weeks, and make sure that you will have a better pitch to your manager after 3 weeks. So we will guide you through this knowledge bank with machine learning, and make sure you have better knowledge and you learn more, and to have a better understanding what's happening in supply chain and how to apply it in your company. All right, we're heading into the end of the Global Pub Quiz. So I'm looking to my colleagues if they are almost ready. Yeah? All right. So thank you for joining, and probably you would be interested to know what are the right answers. So I'm getting into the right answers right now. All right. So the first question was about the track about leadership, and the first question was MIT Sloan Management Review has done a study on business performance in the digital age in 2020. Which percentage of the 4,000 global executives from over 120 countries strongly agrees their own leadership have the right mindset to lead them forward? Possible answers were 12%, 80%, 32%, and 34%. The right answer is a meager 18%, 1/8. So only 18% think that the leaders have the right mindset to lead them forward. Napoleon was the first real supply chain leader in history, introducing the function of logistic manager. How many soldiers did he lead in the Russian campaign? 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, or 600,000 men? Napoleon was leading 600,000 men into Russia in 1812. Third question, which supply chain officer ranked in the top 10 of the top 28 supply chain executives, Europe 2021, is also appointed Chief Sustainability Officer? A. Silke Maurer of BSH Huisgeräte, B. Ewan Andrew of Diageo, C. Sami Nafak of Reckitt, or D. Ivanka Janssen of Philips? Right answer is Ewan Andrew is also Chief Sustainability Officer at Diageo. Next question. Several supply chain professors have developed business models for leaders. Which professor has introduced the Risk Exposure Index? Professor Hao Li, Professor David Semselevi, Professor Carlos Cardon, or Professor Yossi Sheffi? The right answer is David Semselevi of MIT. Next question, gender diversity is important for supply chain leaders. According to a research by Gartner, women make up 39% of the total workforce in supply chain in 2020. What percentage of the top level executives is female? 8%, 15%, 17%, or 28%? The right answer is 17%. Next, question about innovation. Which European startup has done a successful blockchain pilot project with BASF, Motherson and Porsche? Cargo Ledger, Circular Tree, Cargo X, or MindSpider? The right answer is Circular Tree. Next question, which tool has supply chain media developed for the selection of the right type of innovation fitting your business strategy? A. The Trend Compass, B. The SCM IT Subway Map, C. The Supply Chain Startup Maturity Matrix, or D. The Strategy Compass? The right answer is the Trend Compass. Next question, cultural diversity is crucial for innovation. Which city is the most culturally diverse in the world? New York, San Francisco, London, or Amsterdam? The right answer is Amsterdam. In which year did the British retailer Tesco introduce the virtual store in a metro station in Seoul, South Korea? 2012, 2013, 2015, or 2017? The right answer is 2012. So almost 10 years ago. So how many parts does HP 3D print to build their own 3D printers? Is it roughly 20 plastic parts, 50 plastic parts, 100 plastic parts, or more than 200 plastic parts? Right answer is they are printing more than 200 plastic parts to build their own 3D printers. Next questions about planning. Which key performance indicators have the greatest impact on value creation according to Laura Sasira, analyst of Supply Chain Insight? Growth margin, turnover rate, and return on invested capital, or B, growth, costs, turnover rate, and return on invested capital? C, growth, margin, working capital, and return on invested capital? C, growth, EBIT, turnover rate, and return on invested capital? Of course, the answer is A, growth, margin, turnover rate, and return on invested capital. Next question, which company has developed an algorithm to dampen the bullwhip effect in 2008? DSM, ExxonMobil, Philips or Unilever? Right answer is DSM. Next question, on how many different archetypes can customers be classified according to author John Gatorna for the definition of the right supply chain setup? 4 archetypes, 8, 12 or 16? The right answer is 16 archetypes. Then the question about D-Day. D-Day is the biggest military operation in history. How many tons of supplies have been unloaded onto the Normandy beaches by the end of June 1944? 89,000 tons, 289,000 tons, 489,000 tons, or 889,000 tons. The right answer is 289,000 tons. What is the term for autonomous decision making by machines under human guidance? Cognitive automation, machine learning, robotic process automation, or artificial intelligence? The right answer is cognitive automation. Next, sustainability. Which grocery retailer in Belgium introduced 100% CO2 neutral bananas in January 2020? Colruyt, Lidl, Carrefour or Delhaize? The right answer is Delhaize. According to the MIT and CMP survey of 2020, which corporate sustainability goal in the supply chain scored the highest? Energy management, carbon emissions, fair trade and fair play, or no child labor? And the right answer is no child labor scored the highest. The chemicals in Unilever's cleaning and laundry products make up which percentage of its carbon footprint in 2020? 28%, 32%, 46% or 52%? The right answer is 46%. Next question, which fast-growing logistics startup is offering its fossil-free parcel delivery service in more than 30 towns and cities in the Netherlands since February 2020? Is it Lucabox, Budbee, Big Mile or Bird? The right question is Budbee from Sweden. Which petrol-intensive company started its Mission Zero in 1949 and has reduced the carbon footprint of its main product by 74% in 2020? ExxonMobil, Interface, Farbo or Royal Dutch Shell? And the right answer is Interface. Manufacturer of floor tiles, by the way. Then the final questions about talent development. What are the most important skills for supply chain employees according to a survey by Supply Chain Insights in 2019? Is it being a problem solver, has strong analytical skills, has strong oral communication skills, or is able to see the big picture? The right answer in 2019 is a problem solver. And that might be changing over time. We all know that. Next question, what is the most important aspect of a job for supply chain talents in Europe according to a survey by Supply Chain Insights in 2020? Diversity of people and ideas, challenging work, competitive salary, or flexible work arrangement? The right answer is challenging work. Next question, how did young supply chain professionals find their most recent positions in most cases according to a survey by Korn Ferry in 2021? Word of mouth through professional network, directly on company's website, online job board, or social media like LinkedIn and Facebook? And the right answer is social media, LinkedIn and Facebook. Question 24, what percentage of millennials said in the Deloitte Global Millennial Survey 2019 they would be physically healthier if they reduced the time spent on social media? 34%, 44%, 45%, 64%. And 64% said it would be physically healthier if they reduced the time spent on social media. So I say just do that. All right, final question. Which ingredient is not required for the inner fire of talents according to Professor Liedewij van der Sluis of Nyenrode Business University? A, opportunities, what they call oxygen, qualities, like fuel, energy, the heat source, or luck, a spark. And of course, what is not required is luck. All right, these are the 25 questions. And last year, but I think maybe the questions last year were too easy. We had a tie, but for this year we don't have a tie. But still I would like to say the shootout question anyway. So my question is, at the start of COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen a lot of hoarding of toilet paper. The toilet paper revenue in Italy increased with 140% in March last year. What was the annual toilet paper consumption in the number of sheets from 2-ply paper rolls per inhabitant in the USA in 2018? So what was the annual toilet paper consumption and number of sheets from 2-ply paper rolls per inhabitant in the USA in 2018? So that was the shootout question. We don't use it. I think it was 141 rolls, but the real answer was 38,070 sheets per inhabitant in the USA. So that was the shootout question we don't need. All right, now we have no shootout. And I have to see, there are several ones on 3. I don't understand how it's and number 3 there were. I don't understand how it reads.
3 teams with 16 points.
Ah.
So they all finished second.
All right. There were 3 teams with 16 points, and the one that was also on second is Dare to Deliver, Oracle, and Harman International. So all 3 of them were on second place in this SCM Global Pub Quiz. And the winner with 17 points out of 25 is Henkel. So congratulations, and we will make sure that you will get a pilot of our SCM Wisdom, our knowledge bank with machine learning, and we'll make sure that you have the right answers also for your purpose, and we'll have a knowledge quest for you, and then we'll make sure that you have the right way how to use knowledge on a daily basis, and you should learn every day. So Henkel, congratulations. But like the author of Harvard Business Review is saying, if you are learning and you have learned a lot during this hour, so you're all winners. So I would say, thank you for joining, and I think that you are all winning because you have joined. All right. So wrapping up, we have a lot to do for next year, and you can learn still way more next year. So you see here our event calendar for 2022. So we have marked down in orange the events in Dutch for the Netherlands. So we will have an SCM talk show right in this TV studio in March 31. In May 19, again, we have our Innovate Supply Chain event, and we will invite a lot of European supply chain startup for their contest. So that will be May 19. That will be the main event, I think, for next year, also in the Netherlands. But we have a huge audience expecting and a great surrounding, meeting all kind of keynote speakers, cool vendors, technology providers, but also a lot of startups. So that will be on May 19 next year. And then in June 23 of next year, we have our SCM Directors event. So we will announce the top 26 supply chain directors of the Netherlands. September the 1st next year, we have our SCM Trend Dinner. We have all kind of experts pitching their trends, and people can connect to them. That will be September the 1st next year. On November 16, we will have our S&P Selection Day. That will be an international event. We have done the first event last October. We will repeat that because it was a success, and a lot of companies are looking for S&P. And next year we will have, it still says December 8th, but we probably will postpone it to December 15. So, in spite of what is here stated, it will not be December the 8th, but December 15. So next year we will be there way in time to announce the next SCM Global Pub Quiz. For this, I would like to thank you. There's a whole bunch of Webinar Wednesday. You will find it. I don't go through it. But with this, I would like to wrap up, and I'd like to thank you for joining our SCM Global Pub Quiz 2021. And I hope you liked it. I hope that you learned a lot. And maybe you would like to see the questions and the answers. And maybe you would like to know more about our machine learning knowledge bank called SCM Wisdom. Thanks again for joining. I hope you joined it. I hope to see you next year in the SCM Global Pub Quiz or maybe in some other events. Thank you and bye-bye.